For his head leaking?
Yeah, he was bleeding from his head, and so they took him to jail.
Why?
So he had a hair transplant. Going on a plane.
Okay.
Where are you going?
Yeah, I'm flying.
Where?
I'm going out west. What are you gonna say? What are you gonna fucking say to me?
Nothing.
Yeah, that's right.
It's actually a great movie.
You're gonna say something fucking dumb like, "What are you, Feifel or something?" Shut the fuck up. All right. So yeah, I am going on a plane, and I've seen I don't know, especially like since COVID, I feel like there's been like a number of videos coming out of people just being nuts on planes.
Dude, all the time.
What's the craziest thing you've ever seen at an airport?
People clapping when the plane lands.
The craziest thing I've ever seen at an airport.
A guy almost died.
Right, yeah, Brian and I saved a guy.
Resuscitated him.
That's right.
Yeah, there's that.
That's the craziest, for sure. I don't think we'll ever top that.
I hope not.
No.
Yeah.
Something really crazy. Oh, you know what? Actually, a crazy thing that happened that's other than that, because we've shared that story on the podcast many times. A crazy thing that happened to me once in 2018.
Not something. I don't think you heard the question. What's the craziest thing you've seen at the airport?
Well, this is a crazy thing.
Okay.
This is a crazy thing.
Okay.
In 2018, I was transporting a street dog from Morocco back home.
Tigme
lives with my parents.
Tigme Feifel.
And Tigme, there was this whole thing with like getting him on the plane and like leaving Morocco and traveling in transit like through Europe and like needing paperwork and all this stuff. It took forever. Eventually got him on like delivered him to like the oversized baggage, like the crate that he had to go in.
Which is funny because he was so little.
He was so little, but he had to go in this crate under the plane. And I'm really late for my flight now because it took so long to like sort out the paperwork for him going through Europe. And I drop him off at oversized baggage and I'm rushing now to go through security. And it's like, there's a huge line and I'm like freaking out that I'm going to miss my flight. And I'm like, well, fuck, the dog's going to, like, what's going to happen? Anyway, eventually I arrived to this crazy long security line and somebody from baggage or somebody from like the desk counter comes up and they're like, Mr. McGilvery. And I'm like, oh, perfect. They're going to escort me through because they know that I just had this like stupid ordeal. And now they're going to like escort me through so I make my flight. And the guy's like, come with me. I'm like, okay. Thinking that I'm going to get escorted. I get escorted back to oversized baggage. And when I get there, I'm like, what's going on? And the guy goes, the dog is on the runway. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, what?
That's such a crazy thing.
I don't think I heard this. I thought
really?
This was, I thought there was like the dog shit.
No. He goes, the dog's on the runway, and he's saying it in like a kind of like a French Arab accent.
Do it.
It's like it's very.
No,
it's
how
very,
did he say
it's
it?
very because Morocco is like kind of equally French.
What did it
and
sound
Arabic.
like?
The dog is on the runway, like something like that. You know,
right.
if I'm being forced to do it, gun to my head. And I'm like, what? The dog's on the runway. What do you mean? The dog's on the runway. And he goes, dog's on the runway. And I'm like, what do you mean? The dog's on the runway. The crate was being carried on the little car that transports all the baggage.
Yeah, the little clown car.
Yeah. The crate had tipped off of
and broke open.
off of it. And like the crates, if you ever look at them,
God.
you know how they're two-tone?
Yes.
They're two-tone because they're actually
Two halves.
They're two halves.
Yeah.
It tipped over and the crate broke open in half.
Oh my God.
And Tigme who was roughly 6 months old at the time, was loose running.
Oh my
and
God.
this is a street dog.
Yeah.
Who lived in a garbage pile and is like going through a major trauma of being like, I'm being taken somewhere. I've only just lived in this like small little like mud hut.
I thought you were gonna be like, this is a street dog who was like, this ain't shit, motherfucker.
No, he's.
Come on, fuck you, big dogs, looking up at the planes, being like, these fucking big dogs don't know who they're fucking with.
He's having a major trauma response.
Oh,
and he's loose on the runway and he's like sprinting around. And Tigme's kind of like a whippet greyhound. He's got like whippet greyhound in him. And so he's very fast and he's sprinting around and they're like, we're trying to get him. And I'm like, what? And they're like, you have to stay here until we capture the dog. I'm like, oh my God.
I thought they were expecting that you were going to like come in and call him and he was going to come to you.
Yeah, I'm like, dude, I met this dog.
This dog doesn't even know its own name yet.
Like I met this dog 5 days ago and up until this morning, he lived on the street. And And so I am waiting there. They eventually wrangle the dog who's been running loose on the tarmac, like near the like ports where planes are parking.
Coming and going.
And
Good thing planes are
and the
rolling
engines.
Yep.
slow.
And and he almost got. And this crazy part, he said he got halfway sucked up into an engine. They grabbed him by the leg midair, pulled him out of the air, pulled him back into the airport.
Wow.
We put him back in the crate. We had to then take a big roll of duct tape. All the baggage guys helped me do this. We duct taped because I couldn't put the crate back together. It was broken. So we put it back in together in half. It like fit together like two puzzle pieces. We duct taped the crate back together and put him on the plane.
Wow.
And I still didn't get escorted through security.
That sounds crazier than the story of us resuscitating that
Yeah,
guy.
yeah.
It's up there, yeah.
Well, yeah, it was kind of a rhetorical question because it was just setting up the segment we were going to go into, and now we're 10 minutes in. Crazy story.
Thanks.
Breaking news. It looks like. Well, we gotta get the stinger in first.
Wow, that felt shorter.
Breaking news. I got a shorter one.
Yeah, that was good.
Wild outburst and some truly frightening moments, all of it caught on tape by a passenger on board that plane as an allegedly mentally ill man became unruly, even threatening to blow up the aircraft.
There's a bomb on this goddamn plane!
Oh, wow. Whoa. Okay.
You cannot say that, especially if it's untrue.
Is that real?
And coming back here, let's move on. Well, anyway, have you ever seen someone's head leaking?
I am so thrown off here. Are we not going to address anything to do with planes or bombs on planes? Or
No, I think we're going to leave that one alone. I think that was just a crazy story at an airport that we're just going to move on to.
Well, I'm glad I shared the dog story because.
Have you ever seen anyone's head leaking?
What type of leaking? Like leaking.
It's an
blood?
open question. I'm sure Taylor has a story about a dog getting fucking some kind of dog and run around an airport with a head.
I've seen a head leak blood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yep.
Nothing else though.
Now I'm guessing the blood was like through a cut of some sort.
Yes.
Some
yes.
sort. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there's a gentleman named Hernandez Garnier who's actually he got in trouble. He's in trouble. He might go to jail. I don't know if you go to jail, but he got a mugshot, so he went to a jail for
He was
at
arrested.
least enough time to get a mugshot.
For his head leaking?
Yeah, he was bleeding from his head, and so they took him to jail.
Why?
So he had a hair transplant, and so of course after the hair transplant, he was like, "Well, time to go home," and he got on a plane. And so he's sitting on the plane, getting ready to depart, and the airline staff are looking at him kind of funny, and he's like, "Do you got a fucking problem?
Right.
Take a fucking picture." Why don't you? I mean, I don't know if he said this, but my
And
guess.
after COVID, you're not allowed to say that anymore to flight attendants.
You're also not allowed to say bomb on a plane. So apparently you're not allowed to have a leaky head. He was bleeding from the head.
And the flight attendants were looking at him like they had concern for him.
I think so. Yeah, I think, well, yes, and also probably concern for everybody else around
because there's blood.
This guy's head was pretty bloody. And so of course they ask him like, what the hell's going on? And he's like, "Oh, I had a hair transplant, but I don't have any more fresh bandages. So like, this is all I got." And so they said, "Okay, well, we're going to have to ask that you get off depart the plane." And both Hernandez and his female companion, they very much did not want to get off the plane. And so the flight attendants were like, Sir, you're bleeding profusely from your head. We need you to get off the plane." And so at that point, his girlfriend or female companion started to videotape what was going on. And they were having this,
I feel like they probably didn't want the video.
She started TikTok live streaming it. The argument.
That's the best thing.
Which is funny because like you would think that is live streaming going to stop the cops from coming like that? I feel like there's like a reaction where people just like
keeps them honest.
I don't really want to. I would never really want to live stream a situation where like, you know, like I'm also not going to look my best in that situation. You know,
I feel like live streaming that type of thing is more of like it's more of a Facebook thing.
He definitely was not looking his best for sure. Here's the mugshot. As you can see, the fresh hair transplant.
Is that the hair that he's supposed to have in the back, the white stuff?
So no, those are the bandages that he probably pulled back off his. Actually, you know what? I can tell you exactly what this is. We'll come back to it because I'm going to tell you how hair transplants work. I didn't know how hair transplants actually work until I read the story, which made me want to go into figuring it out. So needless to say, after being told he has to get off the plane and the TikTok live streaming, he allegedly said, if they could not fly, if we cannot fly, then nobody else can fly. And of course so he got kicked off the plane. Now, what I was going to say is, like, if you want to make sure nobody else flies that day,
You do
you
what
don't
the other
say
guy
that.
did.
Yeah, exactly. You like this.
There's a bomb on this goddamn plane!
You do that. Like
Yeah.
that's going to get you and everybody else off the plane.
Yeah,
probably.
no one's flying, or it's severely delayed.
If somebody yelled that on a plane that you were on, would you get off?
Yeah. Sure.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
dude, yeah.
Just
sure.
not worth the risk.
How dumb would you feel if you didn't get off and then the plane blew up?
Yeah, like
Yeah.
all the people in Final Destination, because they did that in Final Destination. Everyone went, dude, come on,
Right.
get out of
Yes,
here.
that's right. And he was right. And he was in the lobby of the airport. And he looked up and he went, "Oh no!" And then it went, boom.
What's crazy about that movie, especially now in hindsight, I don't know what year that movie came out. Was it pre 2001? That person needed to go straight to questioning.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Straight to questioning.
Yeah.
Literally said that they couldn't get on the plane because the plane was
Yeah.
going to blow up, got off the plane, and then everyone was like, cool, we'll just take off.
You know why he didn't go into
Plane
questioning?
blows up, and they're like, oh man, he was right.
You know why they didn't question
This
him?
always happens.
Because no one was there to start a TikTok live stream, which would that's what brings the cops. You know, if you want the cops to arrive, start a TikTok live
You know what's
stream.
crazy is I was flying overseas last year, and we were halfway over the ocean on the way to London, and the plane turned around and flew all the way back. And they said that there was mechanical issues and they couldn't fly into like the other airspace. So even though it was like equidistant to fly back,
Right.
instead of going all the way, we had to turn around and come back. And people on the plane were like, a lot of people on the plane were, rightfully disappointed.
Annoyed. Yeah, sure.
But I was kind of, and like, it was a major inconvenience for me because I missed my connecting flight that was on a separate ticket. So I actually had to rebook an entirely new flight. But in those situations, the like alternative is that like, if there's an increased risk of like dying in a plane crash and the inconvenience to me is like, like a bit of money and a bit of time, I'm totally okay with.
Especially
with,
if you're
like-
flying to the UK and
Yeah.
you know that all the instruments flip around to the other side once you cross into the
I know.
British airspace.
Yeah,
That's right.
Yeah, so
Yeah, and
it's
you gotta
much
fly.
harder.
You gotta fly on the left.
Mechanical
Just
issues.
fucking-
Mechanical issues. They increase exponentially in difficulty
Totally.
and
Yeah.
risk.
So hair transplantation. I mean, oddly, obviously, it likely makes you confrontational. Would be,
Yeah.
I guess. I would probably be cranky too if I had a head that looks like that. I mean, that
So
looks
curious.
fucking wild. For people that are just listening, it looks like the guy's wearing like a horror Halloween costume where the top of his head's been peeled off.
But he was freshly
It looks like
lined
he's
up.
wearing a man mask.
What do you guys think about chin
And he's
straps?
actually a skeleton.
Chin straps.
Yeah.
Big fan of them in 2004.
Okay. Did you ever rock a chin strap as facial
Never.
hair?
Oh, look at me. I could never do that. No, I never got that.
No, me neither.
No. By the time I could, sort of, it was out of
Yeah,
it
you
was out of
still
fashion.
Probably couldn't.
It'd be tough.
I feel like the only place it makes sense is on a mugshot.
Yeah. People
Coming from the guy who wears a puka shell necklace. Interesting. So,
Well, I've never seen anybody with a puka shell necklace with a mugshot.
well, you haven't been
just
looking.
gotta go to-
You haven't been looking through
you just gotta
mugshots
go to the OC, brother.
enough. Yeah. Have you guys ever looked into how hair transplants work? It's actually
No,
quite
I
fascinating.
don't really know.
It looks like it sucks. So
Joe Buck, who is one of the announcers for the broadcasters for the NFL,
he had it done.
he was this is crazy. He was obsessed with hair transplants.
Wait,
Oh,
obsessed with it?
like
Yeah,
you
yeah,
mean
yeah.
started transplanting hair where it shouldn't be?
No,
transplanted?
like with his head, like he became fixated that he was losing his hair,
Oh,
and he had like a dozen hair transplant surgeries, and it was like ruining his life.
oh my God. Well, yeah. I mean,
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
Wait, wouldn't you only need one?
look at it. That would ruin my like
Yeah.
if you were just doing that every week, that would ruin my life too. So it's actually quite interesting. There's a couple of different ways you can do it. So to start off, if you're going to get a hair transplant, the surgeon starts first by taking your head and treating it like a little hairy canvas, and he highlights where the hair will be taken from and where it'll be transplanted. So you are the donor of your own hair transplant.
No,
Yes.
how do you do that?
I'm about to tell you.
I don't have any hair on my body that resembles the hair on my head.
You do. You have hair on your head. So
Oh.
here's another interesting little factoid. When the genetic reason for people going bald, apparently, if you are someone who is going to lose your hair based on your genetics, you don't actually lose the hair at the back of the sides of your head.
You get the George Costanza.
The George Costanza is just what happens if you just let it go bald.
Male pattern baldness.
That's right. And so that hair is always back there. So that is the area in which the doctor is going to take the transplant. So
Wait, but are they like thinning that area, or are they just like
well, that hair will
letting
just
you
grow
grow
back.
it?
They'll take that hair out. It'll grow back.
Right.
I'm going to show you.
Okay.
I'm going to tell you right now.
Great.
Yeah. So first, there's local anesthesia that's applied. So you're awake for this, which again,
Not great.
this all sounds horrible to me. So you're awake, but you're not going to feel anything.
Sounds fine.
Sometimes the donor area will get a trim to make harvesting easier. So if you've got a skullet, they're probably going to take that down.
Sure.
Yeah.
Business in the back, not and
Yeah.
shiny in the front.
Skull.
So there's two different harvesting hair follicles methods. Okay, so you have FUT, the foot, or FUE, the foot. Follicular unit transplantation is the foot. Okay, so what they do is they take a strip of skin, they surgically remove that skin off the back of your head, and then they dissect it under a microscope. And this method leaves a scar, but it can harvest a lot more follicles than the method. Okay, so I don't have like an image here, but if you took the back of someone's head and you cut,
thin strip.
you take imagine like the width of a ruler, and you line that up across the back of the head, and they slice that off.
Yeah.
Okay, so
like
again,
pretty thick,
yes.
like pretty wide.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
And then they take that and they use that as like their little like, I don't know, fucking science experiment to like pull the hairs out. And then they go into inserting them into your head.
Okay, so they take them out from the follicle there, but does that mean that the skin that was removed, you won't
Right.
grow
That's
hair in
that's
that?
the trade-off.
You're gonna have,
Or does it just grow back?
You're gonna have a
there?
scar there.
Yeah. And a big
but
ruler size
you
bald
will
spot.
you will get hair, but it like the more you do that, the more it'll start thinning over time. Okay.
Okay.
So someone who's like addicted to hair transplants, like you're fucking your hair, you're fucking your head up for, for the future.
Joe Buck's got so much money, so like
Yeah.
he's probably figured out a way around that.
Get a head
But-
transplant.
right.
It'd probably be better.
Yeah.
So the follicular unit extraction. Actually, I'll play a video for you while we talk about this so you can see it. So this is a more modern approach.
Wow, that's a deep
And this
line.
more modern approach is fucking wild. This is where they use a tiny punch hole tool, and they don't cut a strip. There's no scars. They just leave these small little dots. And what they
Yeah.
do is they kind of use the punch tool to pluck out individual hairs and then individually pluck them into the spot where they want them to be. So,
You know-
so literally, like, think about how tedious this surgery must be.
Mhm.
Literally playing like a game of operation, but like on a microscopic level, and just hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of these little hairs that they are literally inserting into your fucking head. It's wild. It's such a wild thing to think.
Yeah. This would be way more fascinating if I hadn't personally
Watch this here. They insert it into, so they take a hair follicle, they insert it into this needle, and then they go,
like a little cartridge.
and they just punch it in.
Yeah. If I hadn't have gone through
They're
IVF with Kyla, if
Right,
Kyla
sure.
hadn't have gone through IVF
Sure.
and I didn't see the little needle plucking out her microscopic eggs from her ovaries, then this would be way crazy. I mean,
But the
it's
part,
still-
that,
it's
the
still
part
crazy.
that's
It's still
crazy to me
It's
is
still crazy.
is the amount, right? Like think about, you have to paint some dude's head
Yeah,
with
you
hair
gotta do
follicles.
it over and over
Yeah.
and over
Like
again.
how like your hair follicles on your head are pretty close
But
together.
How many hairs do you have in your head? Do you think?
But my question is,
More hair. Well, I heard
know.
there's more hair on your head than there are stars in the universe.
but my
It's fucking
question,
crazy.
my question is, so with FUT versus FU,
Foo and fun. yeah.
when they do foot and they take the line, are they still individually putting those in, like placing them the same way they do with foo, or are they like placing a strip? They must be placing like them individually in both methods. No.
Wow.
Well, it says so they prep the grafts, aka the microscopic science. Every hair follicle is carefully inspected and prepared under a microscope. It's super specific. Single hairs for the hairline, bigger bundles for areas that need more volume.
Okay.
So they're like, sometimes you have like 2 hairs coming out of one hole.
Yeah.
Like, so they're going, we want those bunches. That's for like the top of your head. And then the hairline, we want very individual little hairs.
That's why you see, like, when that picture that we saw of the guy who was a dick, like there's all those like red dots.
Yeah,
spots,
well,
right? Like,
here's another photo of a young man who got a hair transplant. You can see here. So this is like,
whoa.
this was a guy that went in and asked, "Can I get a broccoli head hair transplant?"
He was like, "Give me the Gen Z."
And
brother.
that's what they gave him. But you can see the area. So he had like for folks listening, he had a sort of a receding hairline that goes a little further back on the sides, but also the front of his widow's peak or whatever.
A little thinning
is pushed back a bit too, and there's some thinning, right? So
slick back.
now, not pushback. And so now you can see after that transplant, he looks like a 15-year-old boy.
He
I
does
would,
look very
guys,
young.
if I start to go bald and I can't see the spot on the back of my head, just tell me. I'm just gonna bake my head.
You don't have to worry about that.
I'll bake
tell
my
you.
head.
Yeah.
How many hairs?
You would look good bald.
Yeah, you'd look good.
I've
Bald. You have
shaved my head
a good
before.
shave. You have a good shaved head look, but bald is different from shaved.
Yeah.
Shaved is like you've got this incoming compliment. Don't let your head get too big. You know who looks really good with a shaved head? Brad Pitt. Brad Pitt looks great with a shaved head. Ocean's 12, I believe. Shaved head look, great look.
I think
I have heard that I look.
You've
a
got
lot like
you've got a Brad Pitt
Yeah.
shaved head vibe.
I think
Thanks.
more people look better with look good with a bald head than people think. I think that
I agree.
I think that
We just
now
had this
now
conversation.
I want to be careful saying this because I understand like hair is tied to your identity. Hair
Totally.
is such a crazy part of the way that you see yourself. You're confident. Like it's nuts. But there's a really interesting kind of I've noticed this on Reddit. This popped up the other day where there was like 2 competing subreddits. One is like I'm going bald, I'm leaning into it, and the other one is I'm going bald. Like I
Please
don't know
save
what to
me.
do with myself, and like my life is over type thing. And they're both of these groups they're sort of just it's like a what's the term when like they're both echo chambers. So like the one where you are leaning into it, everyone's like, yeah, rah, like, yeah, you look great, dude. You're going to be awesome. Like, lean into it. It's fucking, ball boys for life. But then the other one is like, it's really sad. It's like really,
I love your fascination with subcultures, Jared, because like you're not going bald. So like,
No.
yeah. I just love that you're up to date on these 2
It is.
subreddits.
It's an interesting human experience, though.
It's
Like,
interesting that people expect this to be the reaction.
You and me, my hair is thinning a bit.
Oh, Your Highness, I'm sure it's not that noticeable.
Oh, that's so great. SpongeBob for the
People,
win.
but people really.
Yeah, they don't.
But
like
again, you
it.
get tied to it. There is like you're married to your hair.
How many hairs do you guys think you have? The average person has on their head.
I'm going to say
200,000.
189
feels too high.
189 quintillion.
Let me look at your hair for a second.
Sorry, hairs or
Look
follicles?
at my hair for a second.
Yeah, I'm
I
just
got a lot.
trying
I have a lot of hair.
Hairs
trying to
or
guess.
follicles? Because there would be a difference.
I'd say
Well, this
maybe
is
like
hairs.
Okay.
maybe 80 to 100,000.
Yeah, but what if you
Feels
have
high.
But what if you have really long hair?
That doesn't change the amount of hairs that you have.
Oh.
What is?
Oh,
what is
that
actually?
does
I'm
it?
curious.
Brian was dialed in. Average person, depending on your hair color, the average person has 90 to 150,000 hairs.
Wow.
This is a funny little thing. This is you know how Google gives you like a snippet from a site.
Yeah.
So the snippet that they gave is depending on hair color, the average person has between 90,000 and 150,000 hairs on their head. It is safe to say that no one has more than 1 million hairs. This is weird.
On their head.
This next part's weird. There are 8 billion people living on our planet, however. What does that have to do with anything?
You never know. The ocean's big.
Is that what they're saying?
also-
Is that what it's saying? Like,
Specifically,
I guess
people
you never know.
People with red hair have no souls.
Yeah.
Everybody knows that.
I think people with red hair actually have the least amount of hair follicles out of everyone else.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Or blonde.
No.
People with blonde hair usually have like thinner Or maybe that's just the
I'm
feel.
pretty
I don't
sure
know.
it is redheads that have the least amount of hair.
All right, I'll take your word for it.
I love redheads.
The most amount of oomph. That's what I say.
Yep.
So back to the hair transplant. So
Bang for your buck.
The surgeon, when they start to craft the hairline, this is also really fascinating. They're not just random stabs. They specifically need like specific direction, angle, depth. Like all those things contribute to the way that your hair is going to sit or rest or grow.
If you want to quaff, then then you need to make sure that,
Which would actually be kind of sick. You could be like, yo, can you incorporate, like this kid, he basically said, yo, incorporate this hairstyle for me.
Yeah.
And it's built in.
Yeah, and now he's stuck with it. So
That is an evergreen haircut. I'll tell you, that'll never go away. The old broccoli cut. So after the procedure, after the graft placement. So one by one, the hair grafts are placed into the pre-made incision. So they pre-punch holes and then they insert them.
yeah,
well,
just
like
when you
planting
drill.
trees.
Yeah, you do. Yes,
Yeah.
little mini
Yeah,
hairy trees.
or pre-drilling.
After that, they following a careful plan to ensure density and natural hair growth patterns. It's like gardening, but way more meticulous. So after the procedure, expect some tenderness and swelling.
Yeah.
Expect to be told to get off the plane, and you'll be sent home with meds to manage the pain.
And expect to still be sad.
Here's the interesting part.
Wait, so do we know what happened to the guy, or did he just have like a bad outcome after the hair thing, and he just got really mad because?
Oh, right. So let's go back to it. So he just had a fresh transplant. The transplant the bandages on the back of his head are from what I'm guessing is he had the strip, right? So he's bleeding through the back of his head.
Yeah.
But the top of his head is where all the punches were.
Yeah.
So they punched in all the hairs. Now the hairs aren't like, when they're putting in the hairs, they're not putting full length hairs.
Yeah.
You're not going to come out with a full head of hair.
No, they're putting sods down.
They're putting down the sod so that the grass can grow.
You got to water him.
So it looks like he has like his head is skinned, but really his head is just full of punctures.
Totally, yeah.
And the back of his head is where there's quite a significant cut because of the scarring or because they had big incision, right? So that's, I mean, I don't know. All I know is this guy got arrested. That's where the story ends.
All right, cool. Yep. Just curious.
But here's the really fascinating part about, so this guy, if he didn't get arrested and he got home because they gave him enough bandages, honestly, it's probably on the transplant doctor for not giving him bandages.
Yeah.
Within a couple of weeks, the transplanted hairs fall out.
Oh, right. Because it's
Which is gonna freak you out.
Because it's stimulating growth
Right.
of like real hair.
Whoa,
But
really?
that's just the beginning, and the hair starts to grow after that.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
There you go.
So, I mean, I always kind of looked at it like, our hair plugs are different, right? Like hair plugs are actually putting some.
I don't
Honest to God, I don't even know what the fucking hair.
I think you can see hair plugs.
hair
Like they,
plug?
like there's
I
almost
mean,
like
Trump's been a huge plug fan, and he hasn't wavered. He's stuck with it, even through all the innovation and everything. He's stuck with it.
hair plugs. It looks like hair plugs are hair transplantation, but they have changed and they have evolved. The term hair plug is outdated in the medical world, but it still prevails in common language. A hair plug is essentially a small round piece of scalp that gets removed or punched out of the back of your head, each plug containing 20 or so individual hairs.
Yeah.
In a
So you-
transplantation, these pieces would then be plugged into the balding area of the scalp. So
those I think are more visible.
Yes.
Like you can
Yeah, right.
sort of like see them even through like thinning hair. You can, I feel like you can see them better. But this like newer transplantation sounds like it's really just, I mean,
Okay.
the only cost to doing that is like the back of your head, right?
So Trump. Does Trump not have any fake hair? Do you think he just has thin hair?
I think
and
he's got
that's
a
what it
toupee.
I
is?
think he has a toupee.
I think he has a toupee.
Yeah.
yeah.
Because he's got so much money. And like, man, when you've got money, you can get, it doesn't look like you've ever lost your hair. Lewis Hamilton?
Yeah.
I mean, dude, Elon Musk, those guys lost their hair.
Yeah.
You look at them now, no sign of it.
Well,
Money.
Trump's got more important things to worry about than his hair. He's got to run a country.
Yeah,
so.
the American people.
So here's another little tidbit for you. How long do you think it takes for the full results to kind of kick in and you have a nice, beautiful, luscious, verbose hair?
6 months.
Yeah, at least 6 months. Because like hair's got to grow. I mean, hair's like
I think it happens
half
fast.
inch a month or
I
something.
think you shed those first transplanted hairs within like 4 to 6 weeks. And then I think your new hair starts to grow. And then I think it takes like a handful of months
I'm
to
gonna
like
trust
grow
Brian
it
on
back.
this. He's dialed in on hair stats.
It actually takes quite a while. So after the after the shedding phase, there's a quiet period that lasts about 3 months.
Okay. How long is the shedding phase?
That's like a couple of weeks after
Okay.
it all just falls out. And then from there, the waiting is about 9 to 12 months.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah. So follow-up visits are like a key part of checking the progress and tackling any concerns. But yeah, hair transplantation. Isn't that fucking
It's wild.
Yeah.
It is. You know what I think is, this is my opinion. My opinion is that the crazier thing, and maybe not crazier than actually doing hair transplantation, because that is like quite the step to do that. But
Apparently it's really cheap in Turkey.
but leaving and doing the
well
George Costanza instead of just shaving your head, that's the crazy thing to me.
No. I appreciate that. When I see someone rocking that, I'm like, especially someone who's surprisingly young, rocking the George Costanza cut. I'm like, dude, fuck yeah! Like, you like don't
Personal
the clown.
Really
Like,
owning,
it's a-
really owning it. I mean, it's
Personal
like, it's like-
opinion, I wouldn't I would shave my head before I did that.
I might do that. I would do that for a bit.
I would probably shave my head too, but I agree. I appreciate the Larry David, the George Costanza,
the Dr. Phil.
the Dr. Phil.
the thing that I don't.
It's kind of a distinguished look.
The thing that I don't like, and I
Yeah.
don't like it not because it's like, oh, it's more like a, oh man, like it makes me feel kind of sad, is like the denial balding, where it's like, no, it's fine. It's like, and you're trying to cover it up, and you can like see the insecurity, and it's like, it's having effect on the person.
That's what I mean. Like that's more
no.
of the thing that I'm thinking.
Oh
of
no,
too.
no!
And
If you're doing the George Costanza, you're going, yeah. I want.
Yeah.
This is fucking sick. I got some
Okay.
hair around the side of my head. It's hilarious.
okay, I see
know?
that. Yeah,
Yeah.
that does change
To
my
me,
mind
it's
a
like
bit.
that's a statement.
Yeah,
Sure. Yep. I hear that.
Anyway, one more quick.
I like the when guys who are balding grow their hair really long and they're like it's almost that
skullet,
like
skullet.
they're like but not even the skullet, the long thin hair where they're like it's almost like
yeah.
this sense of like
Yeah.
my hair is long and luscious,
Like
but
most-
it's actually
like most D&D players over the age of like 35.
yes,
Yeah, right.
yeah.
I like when they grow it long in the back and it is like a George Costanza, and then they drape it over the front.
Yeah.
If anyone took offense to that comment, please write in. I'd love to.
I'd love to know who
I'd
you
love to-
are.
I'd
Yeah.
love to know.
And
by the way,
and
I'm 36 and I play D&D.
and then we'd love to join your D&D campaign.
so let's pull out the hair there. So quick.
Whoa,
Look at that.
whoa.
Do
we
you
got
need a haired person in your club?
got some more breaking news. It's actually some feel good breaking news. Guys, there is a gentleman named HeMan. HeMan Beckley.
I think it's just
Or
He-Man.
HeMan Bekele. He's from Fairfax, Virginia, and this guy is he's a big deal. I know you know the story, so just don't say anything yet.
Okay.
So big deal guy. He's doing great things. They all say he's the biggest.
Okay, cool.
He's received massive recognition because he's on a mission to make skin cancer treatments much more accessible to everyone. And he's doing it with something as simple as a bar of soap. This is actually super fucking cool. HeMan has been named by Time Magazine 2024 of one of the people of the year for his innovative work in developing an affordable bar of soap that could revolutionize the treatment of skin cancer, particularly melanoma. Melanoma is the deadliest form of skin cancer, but it is highly treatable if caught early. Bekele has created a soap that could make it easier and more cost-effective to deliver medications for skin cancer specifically.
Wild.
Now, his passion for science started at a very young age, like super young. He was 4 years old. He was already doing little science experiments with whatever he could find around the house. By 6, he had a chemistry set. And fast forward to the present day, he decided to take on one of the deadliest types of cancer, melanoma. His inspiration for tackling skin cancer came from his early memories of laborers in Ethiopia, where
His early memories.
his early memories.
Is he from Ethiopia?
He's where he, well, the part of that sentence was where he was born.
Okay.
Working under the intense sun without protection. So he was seeing these laborers work in the sun, no protection. After moving to the U.S., Bekele recognized the dangers of prolonged sun exposure and decided to address the issue.
Guys,
where he now lives today.
This might
in
be
the US.
cynical. This might be cynical, but do you feel like when kids have stories like this that their parents just made them up for them, and like their parents did all the work inventing this stuff, and they're like, it would be way better if we just marketed this through our child?
You've said this to me before.
Do you
About
think?
I think
another
he's trying to
thing.
tell you to do some cool stuff with your kids. You know?
Yeah.
And pass it off
Yeah.
like I should come up with like a groundbreaking research and pass it off as my kids' work.
Definitely, because you're definitely setting them up for future success. It's definitely. I mean,
Well,
you get your
let-
kid kid of the year, time person of the year, then
Oh, well, you fucking ruined it. I was going to say, how old do you think this gentleman is? I didn't say he was a kid. He's a fucking child. He's 15. This guy's 15.
I
wow.
thought
yeah,
you said
I was
that.
like,
thought you
don't
said
say
that.
anything. I wanted to see what Taylor would think his age. I removed. He actually got Time Kid of the Year.
Yeah.
He's right there. You can see him. HeMan Bekele or HeMan.
He doesn't need a hair transplant.
He does not. No,
Well,
not
he's
yet. but
15.
He's 15. So give him another
Time will
15 years. So here's the interesting part. He was thinking about these laborers in Ethiopia, and so started digging, and he discovers what's called imiquimod, which is a cream, imiquimod, that helps destroy skin cancer tumors. But the cream is super expensive. It costs like $40,000 as a part of a treatment plan. And so HeMan or HeMan thought, why not infuse the imiquimod treatment into something everyone can afford, like a bar of soap? This brilliant concept would potentially make life-saving treatments accessible to millions of people around the world.
He was inspired by his mother's work, infusing this into bars of soap.
So to bring his idea to life, Bekele participated and won the 2023 3M Young Scientist Challenge, earning him 25 grand and the title of America's top young scientist.
Wow, I feel like the prize should be way more than
Sounds
25
low,
grand.
right?
Sounds low.
He also received, I was a part of that, this support of John Hopkins, a John Hopkins professor and molecular biologist whose name was Vito Rebecca. And Bekele has been testing soap on lab mice at the university's lab.
And $100 gift card to Applebee's.
So the soap is still got a long way to go before it's going to be in hospitals and homes, because Bekele, after receiving the Time Kid of the Year award, again 15 years old, it's probably going to be a long time before we see the soap, because as soon as he got this award, he came out and was like, you know what, guys, I'm actually going to take a pivot, and now he just got into making slime. So he's all about slime, and you can see him there whipping up his newest brew of slime.
Dude, this is the remake of Flubber.
Yeah.
And Nickelodeon has,
You guys remember
has paid him a
Flubber,
lot
man?
of
How
money.
sick was Flubber?
It was awesome.
So actually, the reason why it'll take a while is it might become a reality by the time he's like 25. So there's like a long way to go in terms
Yeah.
of like
Pretty
That makes
big,
sense.
though.
I mean, that makes sense. Anything in science like that is so long.
The funny thing is in his own humble words, he said, anybody could do what I did. I just came up with an idea, worked towards it, and I brought it to life.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, all the other kids at his school are like, dude, I'm trying to like maybe touch my first boob this year. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And they're just
He does
happy
have a
to
point,
save
but
up
it's
enough
like-
money
it's-
for the Fortnite Battle Pass.
It's cute that he thinks that that's the way the world works. You know, like, oh, I just had an idea and I did it.
Yeah. I mean,
Look around, He-Man.
the base function of
Look
the,
around.
the base idea there is
Yeah.
is on track. But
It's cute.
yeah, there's much more to it. But if you believe the base like foundations of that, then
Yeah.
it'll take you a long way.
Yeah.
Actually, I just want to say, for the record, I do believe that he came up with the idea on his own. But
Sure,
have you guys seen?
Look at this little fucking dude.
I'm
He's
so
cute.
impressed. I'm so impressed with.
He doesn't look 15, I'll tell you that.
He
This
looks
also
like
sounds. This also sounds like a like this could be the beginning of like a storyline in a Spider-Man comic.
Yes.
He-Man Bekele is like he's about to become the villain.
yes,
You know,
yeah.
like
Well, what do you
someone's gonna do him wrong. Like
Yeah,
the John Hopkins lady is gonna like fuck him over and like.
yeah.
Now he doesn't look like he's 15. He looks older than that. Do you think that there's kind of
It's
like
because he's wearing a bow tie.
Do you think there's kind of like a Little League World Series thing going on here where it's like, you know, that they're like, oh yeah, the pitcher's 12. And he's like, what's up, guys? I'm just pitching 100 miles an hour. He's actually 55. He's been studying.
And he just thought that it would be a better marketing angle if he was 15.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's racking up all these kids' science prizes like it's candy.
I'm always so impressed.
I mean, if you're
by
that smart and he was in his 50s, he could have made some sort of like this green slime that he's making could be some sort of like Benjamin Button
Could be
juice.
some like anthropomorphized.
And then he drinks it, makes him look like a little kid, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I made that. I'm
Do you
doing
think
cancer."
Do you think that photo is just for a photo shoot? Like that slime is not actually.
I think he made this himself. This
Have you
is
ever seen the
content.
movie with David Spade and Damon Wayans?
Here we go. No, I haven't.
Okay.
Tell us about. Let's give us 10 minutes. Tell us about your favorite scene.
No, he like injects himself with some shit that he makes up, and it gives him all sorts of like confidence and swagger, and he gets the girl of his dreams, and it's kind of funny. I liked it at the movie as a kid. Can't even remember the name of it.
So Bekele is entering his sophomore year at Woodson High School. Man, that can you imagine? Just fuck, it would suck to be in that kid's class.
Yeah.
You know?
Because you're always compared.
Oh,
to
you
him.
just feel like such a loser.
Yeah.
HeMan first of all, his name's fucking HeMan. He walks in carrying Time magazines, giving them out to everybody, like signing them and shit. And you're just like, fuck.
I like to. It's so funny because
I'll fucking beat him on
he
Fortnite.
looks like-
I know I beat him on Fortnite.
he looks like such a sweet kid, but I like to imagine him as just having a big ego, and just being a total
fucking
dick.
shithead. But it's all really passive aggressive.
Totally. So like all the adults think he's really, really
Oh,
sweet.
the adults, yeah, they're like, oh my
They
god,
love
what a
him.
charmer.
They
He
love
lives
him.
the best,
and all the
and
kids are like, fucking.
They see right through it,
Yeah.
as they do.
Yeah.
I mean, he's wearing a bow tie. Like any kid that wore a bow tie was like that.
I love how many times we've come back to this.
He looks
photo.
like what's the guy's name from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air?
Will's cousin.
Yeah, starts with the C.
Carlton.
Carlton?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
He's got Carlton vibes.
I guess the bow tie. Yeah, I guess the bow tie does it. Yeah,
Well, it depends on how he dances. I guess.
exactly. That's the ticket. How does he dance?
I bet he dances well.
If he dances
actually.
like Carlton, then he's definitely got Carlton vibes.
HeMan, keep doing God's work, brother. And it'd be cool if you could make a rainbow slime. I'd really like a rainbow colored slime. I think that would be fun.
Yeah.
All right, folks. Well, thanks for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed this. And we'll be back next week with another wonderful episode. In the meantime, support the podcast by leaving a rating and a review on Apple Podcasts. It really does make a difference. Here on YouTube, subscribe. Make sure you subscribe. Hit the like button. Again, it does go a long way, and we really do appreciate all of you for taking time to hang out with us and listen every single week. And hey, if you want to join our Discord, you can check the show notes of all the episodes. You can get the Discord link there. Come over and hang out with a bunch of cool folks.
And if you want to be a guest on the show, we would love for you to submit an application to be on the show. Tell us your story. Sickboypodcast.com.
And a huge thank you to the folks who helped make this show happen. Donovan Morgan for your incredible sound design. We love you. And Jeff Lonis, our manager. We couldn't do this without you. Thank you so much.
That is it for this week.
I'm Brian.
I'm Taylor.
And I'm Jeremy, and this is Sick Boy.